Three, two, one, live on Facebook. Hi, everyone. It's me again,
Mhm.
Cindy. I'm so glad you're here and that you found us. And before I introduce you to Jeff, and this is really, really exciting, um, I'm going to invite you to take a moment and show up here and now, if you will. But first, um, if you could go ahead and hit that share button for me in the Facebook, that's fabulous. Because Jeff is unique. I just read his bio. We're going to meet him. Jeff, you and I are going to meet Jeff at the same time because I know him about 5 minutes longer than you do. All I know is somehow he has merged yoga and movement with A Course in Miracles, and there's nothing about flow and breath to remove blocks. And I'm getting shivers just thinking about what he's going to share with us now, what he's going to share with us at the awareness conference. So please hit the share button so that you can let your friends know about it. And then once you've done that, if you could take a moment to place your hand on your heart, if you've been around me a while, to take a pause, put your hand on your heart, close your eyes, and just watch the breath. It's really pretty cool if you don't try to control the breath and you just watch it. It does its things. So if you take a moment to just watch your breath and listen to my voice, you will discover that you're showing up here and now. And the thing that we learned earlier today, and that I'm really discovering, is that we have no problems here and now. There's nothing to solve. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing else to do. So you might as well be here fully and completely. From that place, I would love, love, love for you to join me with an open heart in welcoming my new friend, Jeff Bailey. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Cindy, thank you. That was lovely.
Isn't that fun?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was going to read your bio, but it's not in front of me. So here's
Okay.
what I remember from just having read it, and then I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, if that's okay.
Okay.
I know that you love A Course in Miracles, and I know that somehow you have merged it with yoga and breath and movement, and that you have a studio and a practice that enables people to use movement and use breath to help remove those blocks that we've all been studying about in A Course in Miracles. Did I get that right?
Spot on.
And that you're in Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The center of the self-help universe.
And rumor has it, and I'd love for you to share, we have about 15, 20 minutes, give or take right now. But first, what else is it that you'd like people to know about who you are and how you got to be here with us right now?
Well, wow. Thank you for that sweet introduction, Cindy. It's a miracle, plain and simple. I guess the best way for me to answer that question is to say a little bit about how I got here. I'm from Colorado. I grew up in a small town called Gunnison. And at the age of 21, I walked into a yoga class, really not even knowing much about it. This was in 1986. And felt like I took my first breath ever. I felt the changes that came from moving my body. And I asked the yoga teacher after class, I said, what in the heck is yoga? What does yoga mean? And he said, well, yoga means to join. Then I said, well, join to what? And he really didn't have an answer. And I walked away thinking, well, if yoga means to join, then why do we spend so much time pulling ourselves apart? And so began this decades-long journey with yoga. And what I soon discovered was this remarkable element of yoga where it does use the body as well as the mind. So there's a physical and a spiritual element to the practice that is designed to help us join with what we really are, true self, Christ light, perfect love. You know, we all know there are many names for it. And I tell my students, it doesn't matter what you call it, you just have to give it a capital letter. And you have to mean it from the bottom of your heart. You have to want it more than anything. And for the first decade of my journey in yoga, I kept asking, what does it mean to join? And it was actually about a decade later. And I had just moved to Boulder. I was about 30 years old. And I was sitting in this apartment doing some yoga, sitting there on the floor. I curved forward, and there on the shelf was A Course in Miracles. That was when this was the 3 blue books. And I pulled one off the shelf, opened it up, and the words join just popped off the page. And there was my answer. And I opened it up, and like many, I felt like I was reading, you know, Russian or Hebrew. It just didn't really make sense. But I guess like many, I recognized enough to know there's something in this book. And so began this years-long commitment to understanding. I think I kind of made that mistake for a little while to try to understand it. And then I began to practice it imperfectly. And I think that was the key. I practiced it imperfectly, and little miracles started to happen, and it just became the guiding light for myself and my wife. The first miracle was within the first month. I had let down enough of my obstacles, my restrictions in mind, and my wife popped into my life, and she gravitated to the Course right away. So together we've had that as the backbone of our marriage, which is just amazing. Anyway, yoga and lots of different yoga teachers, and then this amazing studio, this beautiful studio that and there's another room that I don't even share. Lately it's been mostly empty, but this studio landed in kind of in our lap. That's another story. But I never stopped wanting to make yoga available to those who need it most, meaning the people who can't just do it. And so many people have this false idea that they have to be good at the practice. They have to be able to do it in order to benefit from it. And so it keeps so many people out of the practice. And as I just kept opening my heart up to spirit, various teachers came into my life, and in 1990, I studied to become a Rolfer. And I tell many people my Rolfing training was the best yoga teacher training I've ever had. It taught me so much about the body and the patterns that the body generates, and then through pain and restriction maintains. And we get these compensatory patterns in our body that reverberate as reflections of the mind. And so if we can use yoga at its very best, and yoga at its very best is an undoing. So we can use the shapes to undo the blockages in the body. Are we not also undoing them in our mind? You know, we know that the body is a perfect reflection of the idea of Jeff Bailey, the separate self. That, you know, it's the idea of separation on many, many levels. And so it's really a process of working backwards. And so the body becomes a vehicle to undo the mind. And we get this, really start to get the best of both worlds, because as we undo the restrictions in our mind and in our bodies, we develop more fluidity, more movement, more grace, more youthfulness in our bodies as we move through our lifetimes. And that's what Avita Yoga is. It's a remarkable practice that anyone can do. And if you're signed up for the conference, you'll have the opportunity to, well, I have the privilege and opportunity to open each day of the workshop. I did a practice with Bill and gave him a demonstration practice. And he said, okay, let's do this. so that's, let me stop talking now, Cindy, and let you chime in.
Well, I don't know why I feel like crying, but my heart is like going a mile a minute and there are tears in my eyes. This surprising, right? Again, I just read your bio and something kind of clicked. So next weekend, we're going to have the opportunity to step in to sessions, right? Is that what you just said? We're going to do a little of this. So in other words, we can, and the hair is standing on the end of, oh, I don't know. So we'll have thousands of people at the conference next week, right? And we'll have people, but not everyone who's listening right now. And there are people, you know, this is showing up on people's stream, like all over the world.
Nice.
And I've met some really interesting people just through comments from crazy, like from Iceland and New Zealand and Australia, people that
far off places.
I have, and not, they won't all say yes to the conference, and I hope they do, because literally you can hit register, right? Come and just attend these sessions. You don't have to pay for anything just to register.
Oh, yeah. Bill has created something amazing. He's just such a guiding light. Yeah.
So, but you're telling us that we could do this work virtually, right?
Oh, it works so well virtually. It works so well.
Yeah, you know, I'm about to ask. I mean, there is somebody that is listening right now, who's in pain, who's got some physical pain or some emotional pain, or who's feeling really tired, or is looking for something. And I'm, you know, with tears in my eyes, I'm going, all right, Jeff, what are you about to give them? Or me? What do you want to give me?
Well, the same thing I give myself on an ongoing basis. It's my practice too, both at a physical and a spiritual level. And really, as we know from the Course, it's all spiritual. So all healing happens on the level of the mind. So how does a yoga teacher, or how does a yoga student practice this physical thing called yoga and let it be a vehicle that allows us to access the healing power of the mind? That's where it all is. It's like, you know, we're so conditioned to the content that streams through our minds, that's all the programming and all the conditioning that seems to have got us where we are. And then we start to use exactly where we are without judgment. And for example, you might just start on the practice. I'm not suggesting you do this right now, but you may be called to do it. You just lie on your back, have your head on a pillow, and gently bring your knee to your chest. It's not, all the different shapes are really kind of like mudras, like we might bring our hands to our heart. They're all symbolic, and they all evoke a certain blockage. So it might reveal a blockage in the hip. It could reveal a blockage in the abdomen or the heart space. We work with shoulders. So a little bit more about the practice. We leave nothing out. There's neck work. We work with the fingers. We work with thumbs. We work with the toes, ankles, knees. Evoking this physiology. So there is physiology. There is a science behind this, where we evoke the healing physiology inside the joints. Physiologically speaking, it's cleansing for the joints, and it it cleans up arthritis, it cleans up this degeneration. It's saved many people from surgeries and joint replacements. I've helped hundreds of people recover from joint replacements, because just because you have a joint replaced doesn't mean you've addressed the pattern and the conditions that brought the joint replacement need along in the first place. So we continually undo the patterns, because if you replace one joint, then the problem just gets pushed to the others. And so it's just this constant unwinding and constant undoing, and it's very, very potent. It's not the kind of thing where you sweat. It's not the kind of thing where we don't try to increase the heart rate. It's not a cardio workout. There's no accomplishment required. And actually, if I have my eyes in the room, if I see the people in the room, we fall into this place of just presence pretty quickly. The need to accomplish a shape and improve the shape actually delays the healing. And so you might be getting this idea that it's super gentle. And while there is this underlying gentle tone to it, we work with what I call healing sensation. And in the very first practice on Friday morning, I'm going to talk a lot about what is healing sensation and how do you access that. And that becomes the meditation. So whereas meditation could use the breath, it could use a candle flame, it could use a beautiful ocean vista, it could use the sound om. There's lots of different mudras that one might use to join with our essence. We use sensation in the body, and it's remarkably captivating. An hour goes by really quickly for people. It's all guided. You don't have to think about a thing. And we move into the shapes as we move closer to our healed presence. So how's that sounding?
Oh, I'm breathing into it. And it's, you talk about an hour going fast. You and I said we would talk for 15, 20 minutes. We're going on. Oh, we've got a little time yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like breathing into the fact that you have now entered our lives.
And you mine. Thank you.
And B, that Bill Free in the Awareness Conference has set it up so that everyone who registers, again, free to register, can come each morning, right, for this session. So you talk about pain. Can I ask you, have you had any experience also with paralysis, spasm, those types of things?
Can you say more about paralysis? What kind of?
Well, I'm going to get personal. I don't usually do that, but I've had 2 bouts of Bell's palsy, and so there are parts of my face that still don't work. They hurt, but they still don't work. And I had this wondering if we were here and sharing for the world to see, because there's a block, there's a space, there's a promise that perhaps my smile's waiting to return,
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, as well as I do, smiles, they all start and really kind of end on the inside, right? And so we feel your smile. So I've worked with people with MS, with Parkinson's, with nervous system disorders like that. And we get good results with improving symptoms. I can't say that I've found a cure for it, but we can, you'll see the work that we do. So in my teacher trainings, I give the teachers this formula, and I'll share it with you. This will be helpful going into the practice. So you'll see we have lots of different shapes, very doable shapes that we use. And the purpose we give the shapes is to reveal the blockage. And by the way, let me do a quick little advertisement here for the Yoga Sutras. Quite simply, the Yoga Sutras, Yoga Sutra number 1 is basically says, yoga is now. And Hatha Yoga Anushasana, now is the yoga. And it's really how you open this talk up. It's be here now. The second sutra says basically identify the obstacle and resolve it. Basically what the formula is in the Course in Miracles. Identify your grievance, forgive it, and sutra number 3 says we'll have an experience, a natural experience of true self. And then the rest of the some 200 sutras just go on to support that. But if you know that formula in your head, it matches perfectly with the Yoga Sutras, and it's the backbone to this practice. So we identify the obstacle. So back to this example, you bring your knee to your chest and you feel this little pinch in the groin, or you feel some compression in your knee. Right away, it starts to stimulate the healing physiology. But then what's happening on the deeper level is we're using the shape, we're using the muscles to get to the bones, the deepest part of our body. The bones, it's a hop, skip, and a jump to the nervous system. And the nervous system is a direct channel to the mind. So we're just working back through the body in this really systematic, spacious, kind way. We practice kindness the whole time, and we watch the judgments, and we watch the hypothetical what if situations, and we watch the inner critic come up, and we just say thanks, but no thanks. I've heard you before, you're not that helpful. I'm just going to let you slip by. I'm going to come back to the sensation, and I'm going to join with my healed mind. And then I'm going to let that come through my body.
Lisa Natoli just showed up on Facebook Live. Lisa, you and I both love Jeff Belly. It's so funny. I'm still crying. It feels like something inside has broken loose. There's a piece inside of me that doesn't want to wait a week plus 12 hours or whatever it is for the first session. Is there anything you can leave me and others with relative if we want to get started?
Would you like to get started?
I would love to get started.
Okay. I had not planned this, but since you asked.
What did we say before we got started about planning? What does A Course in Miracles tell us about a mind that tries to
don't bother. If you want to get in your own way, plan. Okay, so I could share a link to a class that I'm going to teach in it's 6 o'clock here Mountain Time, so that's an hour and a half, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a Zoom link to a class every Thursday night at 6 o'clock. I teach a class, because we're in COVID. I usually have a mask on, and I'll have a few students in the room here. We still have to be spaced, and we're conscious of the whole COVID thing. So most people are practicing at home now. And so I can share this link. Thursday night is a free class. It's the only class I teach through Zoom. And anybody that wants to join in can join in. And I'll tell you what you need right now to have a nice practice is we're going to be using a yoga strap, which is basically a 5 or 6 foot long belt. And you can use an old scarf. You could use a bathrobe belt. Those are quite lovely. Anything about 5 or 6 long and kind of skinny will work. And then a bolster. So I really like these. They're 29-inch long bolsters. They're not the rectangular kind, they're round. and they sort of flatten out naturally with time. If you have one of those, if you're a yoga person, you might have one laying around. That's great. If not, just grab a firm pillow, something firmish to support your head. And then we sit on them. There's lots and lots of things we do with these bolsters. Eventually, you'll want to get one of these. It's a lovely addition to the furniture in your house, and they're not expensive. And a yoga mat could be helpful, but not necessary. So,
Well, cool. Well, I will, when we're done here, I will grab that link and post it on Facebook. And
it may be my biggest class ever.
well,
This is pretty exciting.
well, we will see. I'll be there.
Okay.
And that's, I'm looking forward to it. And
Me too.
I'm looking forward to next week too. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Oh, just my heart, Cindy. I'm so grateful. Just thank you so much. And what a gift to be able to share this practice that I've just come to relish and appreciate so much. To be able to share that with you and your viewers is just a gift. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. All right, everyone. To register for next week, it's in the description. In just a few minutes, I will drop the link in for the class that's taking place in about 90 minutes. And well, I love you.
Okay. I love you too. Thank you, Cindy.